Hi everyone, it's me Joe, and today during lockdown I was asked to be interviewed by amazing Slingshot London. So I thought I would kill two birds with one stone and do a mini interview as well as the live. Hopefully you guys will then be able to see some updates, some questions. We can talk a little bit about Agile Pop issue 4. So very excited for a new vertical and some new interviews.
Hi, afternoon, everyone.
Hello. Hello,
Hi, Joe.
you okay?
Hello. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I'm doing trying my best to get through all my computers on at the same time. So
All right, sorry. I'm in a room full of Lego with High School Musical booming from upstairs. We're, we're all in a bit of a surreal situation today. I was noticing my shoulders barely fit in the shot today. They're massive.
oh no, they look fabulous. I love the colour. Right.
Thank
Am I
you.
clear? Can people see me?
You clear? Can everyone clear? Hi, Kate. How you doing? It's a fabulous makeup artist as well.
Oh my god,
Um,
hi.
Sam, my business partner. Um, So thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. This is how many? This is our fourth or fifth, I think, now live in this series, and it's kind of chatting with influencers and creatives, and kind of getting a bit of insight and also looking at sort of the positive things that people are doing, how people are coping, how agile, how Ruby, how everyone is coping and adapting their business or not during this time. So we've had some great people on, obviously Virgin X that that was on Friday.
Yes.
And yeah, we've got Diana Gomez, photographer, tomorrow. So some really great people, and it's actually it's a really interesting and different but great way to be able to all connect and actually a lot of chats that we might not all be having under normal circumstances. So it's nice to see your face.
Yes, yeah, no, I'm normally when we've had like meetings before, I'm always like, I've not got makeup
We've
on
been on the
today, I
phone,
should
haven't we?
probably hide it.
No hiding today.
Yes, I don't mind it. It's ironic, but like being on YouTube for 10 years, I'm like, I don't actually want to be in front of the camera anymore, but I do
You
the
can't
same.
hide it, darling. People want too much of you on camera.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
so let's first of all, before oh God, my shadows look really man, like a American footballer. Um, so let's first of all we'll introduce you and a bit of a background for those that don't know um, where how you've come to where you are now, and then we're going to talk a bit about what you're up to, how you're coping, and then the projects that you've got coming up, and sort of any advice, I guess, for any of those other creatives out there, because I think certainly for us it's stronger together during this period, and it's kind of, as creatives, we're all left in quite a vulnerable position with the current situation, and working out how we navigate. How do people adapt their businesses and kind of, hi Donna, adapt what they're doing right now. So just, you started on YouTube, did you? Originally you were scouted by Dazed and Confused magazine, weren't you? Back,
Yeah, I
it was
began
like
really,
a
really
couple of years
young
ago,
on,
wasn't
and that was many years ago. It was MySpace. I was preempted, and I always credit MySpace as being like the training ground for everything I do now. Because when I got onto
I
MySpace,
heck.
there wasn't like algorithms like there is in social media now, but there was definitely things like you couldn't change your top 8 friends. So the earlier you got onto the platform, the more promoted you would be. So I understood self
Yeah,
marketing from that kind of blueprint. And I began to make more customizable websites from my MySpace profile, because at the time there were things like GeoCities, which was a Yahoo kind of like self-driven website maker. And
yeah.
I found so many people like club kids that I couldn't find in books or mediums on this GeoCities website. So I used to try and use my a mix of GeoCities and MySpace to present a kind of like a base of everything I do. And when I was on MySpace, I used to have like, I was very ambiguous looking.
Yeah.
I think at the time there was a L'Oreal adverts that were on all the TV with Mila Djordjevic on. And when I was a kid, people used to always say, "Oh my God, you look so much like the pictures." They
You
thought it
do
was
now,
just
you
like
said that. I can see the resemblance there now.
it's funny because even her little children, when if you look at my baby photos and her children, I look exactly like our older daughter when I was a young
Funny,
person.
isn't
So Yeah, so I always used to get like people saying, "Oh my God, are you a model? Are you a
Right.
model?" Because I was 6'2" when I was like 15, so I was really tall, much thinner than I am now in this ambiguous space. So there's a lady called Katie who was an editor at Days Confused magazine, and she worked very much with Alexander McQueen on the launch of the McHugh line,
Yeah.
and she wanted me to be on the cover of Days Confused when they actually went with Luke Worrell, when it was half goth, half prep, and it was quite an iconic Days Confused magazine cover. But at the time, they wanted me to be half boy, half girl. So I was really, really like, I remember going to the casting, the first one with her, with
You were
my mum.
15, weren't you?
Yeah, my mum was with me. And I remember it because there was a scene as well trying to get there where, you know, in that like Final Destination where things just like go crazy all around you. But my mum, she was on the tube, and for some reason she decided to lean her head back, and the doors went like that on her head, and the whole entire car of people were like, "Oh my God, she's gonna get decapitated." So we were in hysterics while everyone else was like in shock, thinking someone was gonna die. But that was my first casting. So I began modeling, and I think it was just way too young for me. I wasn't confident. I was being kind of like in the school system of, if you're feminine, you're kind of shamed and isolated. So
Yeah.
I wasn't comfortable taking my top off or wearing dresses in photo shoots. So I think I lost out on a lot of my first opportunities just because I think fashion people just think of you as a product. Oh, there's a pretty in between gender thing. Let's put them in a ball gown. But for me, as a person in school, to be in a
That's a
ball
really
gown was
vulnerable
like,
age.
yeah, it was good. It was opening me up to too much criticism from my school life, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I did things that were more menswear, like I did loads of menswear fashion week when I was 15 and 16. And then I started to go more to do sort of like the magazines that were underground at the time. And I started to shoot a lot. And then I went to Tokyo, and Tokyo was easier for me because no one knew me. And there was a look that they were very into in Tokyo, which was the blonde blue eye look that was kind
Mm.
of androgynous, but they considered that to be masculine. So I got the opportunity to do a lot of catalogue work in Tokyo, which gave me enough money to start my work as a makeup artist. And I was 17, and it was 10 years ago. And when I came back to London, I thought, well, I can't do modelling here because people don't want me to do beauty, which I wanted to do beauty modelling. And I wanted to do more creative stuff, so I went into makeup.
It's great, and it's mad, isn't it? How things have changed so much on some levels. But then, do you think if do you think if apologies everyone,
That's all right.
do you think if that had happened now, do you think it'd have been different? Not just because of obviously where you are now, but more how things have changed in the world and acceptance and whatever. You know, do you think it'd be a different place and different situation now?
I think it's strange because I wasn't a big name model when I was starting. I was a child without like proper management really, but at the time there was other androgynous models like people like Martin Cohn, and there was a French Vogue cover with Andre J on the cover, who is ambiguous, two spirited. There was a movement at the time that was about, it was kind of different to what we see today. It was more ambiguous, androgynous, something in between, like not forced, not
Yeah,
imposed, like drag, not transition fully, accepting gender, but something that kind of was like more like when Amora Mota was modeling, and she's very
yeah,
ambiguous. Or there was a male model called Jared Branch who was
yeah,
also very ambiguous. I think that there was an opportunity for people to get on board, and I think Andrzej Pejic at the time was Andre, and I knew who he was from MySpace because he at the time was friends with my friend Cody. So there was all these sort of like androgynous models kind of at the same time. But I think Andrea transitioned to be she. So there was this whole sort of like empty space, I think, in the market for that sort of, I can do both sides of the coin.
yeah.
At the moment, there isn't that still. There still isn't, even though people use the
No.
word gender fluid, they're not the same. It's not like they actually look like both genders in one. They choose how they style themselves. So
Yeah.
I think that it's funny, but I do think there's like a missing element to fashion culture where people have sort of forgotten that there are people that just are naturally ambiguous, that don't impose gender, but they just are. You can't identify them. And I think that's where we're going next. I think it's
Yeah.
time now for it to happen, but I still
Can
don't
you
think it's
see
there
that
yet.
changing?
I think so, because even when I won New Generation competition, I think they missed which I'll probably talk about in a bit, but I won a big
Yeah.
competition which was like a psycho mainstream talent show. I don't think that they were prepared to put effort into marketing this lane, because I always go back to this whenever I speak to people. I think that the way that the sort of social media climate has changed things is they accept the boy in makeup, they accept the drag queen, and they accept the transitioned woman. They don't
Yeah.
actually accept you if you are ambiguous, which is something that I think a lot more people are. They've almost tried to force it into being this whole I am gender fluid thing, which actually they're applying to people like Zayn Malik and Gigi Hadid, which they are not ambiguous looking.
No.
They are just people that style comfortably in the way they want. So
Yeah.
it's not the same. It's not the same, and I think that we're about to get to the point where it's starting, which is why I'm coming back with a lot of my content.
I mean, I think, to be fair, I guess, to the nation, I guess it's about the education and communication through, I guess, content, editorial, and press, that people, especially when people are not living in cities. I mean, certainly I've got a 9 and 11-year-old, and they know far more about, they would say, even like trans, oh, is that person trans, they that, or they know a lot because we live in King's Cross. They see a lot and they're exposed to a lot, and certainly with what I do and the lifestyle we lead and the people we know, they're exposed to quite a lot. So as even at an early age, they have quite a lot of knowledge. But I
Yeah,
guess, when people are from outside of cities, they're not exposed to a lot, and then they're relying purely on media for any information that they're fed. And I guess it comes through a lack of understanding, which, things have evolved so much on some levels, but then I guess not on others, really, haven't they? And I think it's I guess in general the world is resetting in general at the moment with everything that's going on, and as creatives we are reassessing where we're at and what we're doing in general because of
yeah.
everything that's going on. And I think, I mean, I wonder, do you think that after all of this, because it feels, and I guess we don't really know until we're out properly, that actually we were talking with another one of our speakers earlier, Peter, and talking about the whole thing that does celebrity actually exist whilst we're out in this situation? We're just all humans. And actually, do celebrities have any more clout at the moment than actually anyone else? Because we're all on these digital platforms, we're all
Mm.
vulnerable and alone, in isolation. And actually, has a lot of that gone? Hi, Rebecca. Has a lot of that gone? And do you think that maybe after this, that people have stripped back so much to the basics of who they are and what they want from life, and I guess a little bit more hopefully more authentic in their thinking and approach, that that level of honesty might help some of these topics that people are just much more accepting of the rawness of things, the way that things are. I don't know. I mean, do you think it'll have any impact at all?
I think it definitely will do, because I've been working behind the scenes now with YouTube for about a year, because when I stopped doing YouTube as a mainstream thing, just to give some context, I wanted to know why certain celebrities were being kind of pushed to the forefront by algorithms, and I wanted to, because there's a lot of social media driven celebrity today, and a
Yeah.
lot of it from what I saw since 2016 has been, if I can provoke a reaction, that reaction will then facilitate me being seen. Now
Yeah.
that means I could film someone dead in the woods, which is happening with the American YouTubers. It means I could say something racist. It means I could cause a synthesized argument with someone, and if people are outraged, it actually elevates my platform. Now, I don't think that's right. I think that's an
No.
irresponsible way of creating platforms for people. And for me, it left a sour taste in my mouth, because I wasn't really interested in doing things that would have to be sensationalistic to get my work up there. I wanted to take a pause and figure it out. So I agreed to be a product tester for YouTube. And the problem is, when people are at work in the middle of the week and they're doing what they're doing, they're too busy to actually notice all this stuff. They just accept what's being fed to them. So if they see someone that's being shown on the explore page of their phone, then they're going to accept that person and think, oh, that person's obviously done a good job at something. They're being shown to me. They don't know
Yeah.
that the reason why they're being shown is because they provoked
Yeah.
people into being responsive. So there are things like, there are people from Geordie Shore. I've met a few of them. They're lovely people, but they know how to play the game on social media. They know how to do a
Yeah.
meme that's going to outrage people.
Yeah.
We now are all at home seeing this in real time, and there's a lot more smart people with enough time on their hands to figure out what's going on. And I think people are now going to be at a point where they accept celebrity as actually being something of the past. I mean, there are things that I think people are getting on, like inclusivity campaigns, that have lowered the value of doing the job. If you're going to allow anyone to do these prestigious things, and the prestige isn't there, and I don't want to sound like elitist in this and say that people, only pretty people should be in campaigns or anything like that, but I think people are genuinely playing the game with the social media to actually get people to get a platform. And I don't want to be in a campaign with someone that's just done a silly interpretation of something to get a response. So they're then seen, and then I've got to sit next to someone who can't do makeup. And I've spent the last 10 years of my life training with artistic products, with every type of skin coat. I went to do a biochemistry master's.
Well, you also know how to make the makeup, don't you? You've actually trained in how to actually create the physical makeup.
Yes, I went to London and I did a cosmetic science degree there, the Master of Science. So I think that people are now realizing how social media plays into this sort of visibility game, and that the value of that isn't necessarily reflective of the person's skill set. I think that I think there should be a free range for everyone of any creed, any gender, any presentation to do any job. I don't think there's any restrictions, but I want people to work for it. I don't want people to figure out a way your phone can show you to people and then use that. That's smart in a way, because you understand how the computer works, but where is the training? Where is the original ideas? Like, a lot of the stuff is, oh, I know there's a trending challenge with makeup, so if I do the same makeup, I might be listed next to that one. Why would you do that? Why would you not go out there and develop something that's that shows what your story is? Because it's not going to be seen through a computer program, but actually when people do see it, they see you, and you're a different person. So they're going to connect with what you do more. So I always think, like, when we've got time to realize things like that, people are going to spend a little bit of time thinking, and they'll realize that what makes you is what is the special thing. It's all of this algorithm stuff.
Well, we've been talking about it quite a lot. It's authenticity, isn't it? And I think that, you know, we've always talked about it a lot. And I think that want validation more than depth. They do. And I think that you know, it's that authenticity and honesty around I think within creative, I know there's a few makeup artists, I'm not sure if they're all still on, that, you know, I've known for a long time, that are watching, that are very talented and have, you know, high skill sets, and like yourself, they've worked for what they do. And there are, I mean, it's the same with styling, you know, I don't know if Rebecca's still on as a stylist. There's lots of people that are willing to either know the right people, know the right algorithms, know the right ways to play it, and it becomes very much about a numbers game. But I think for us at Slingshot, you know, the foundations of who we are within our values and how we work is about staying true to your core values as a person, as a brand, as a personal brand, and that being the core of who you are. And I think that, you know, we talked with Peter, PMAC, who's a personal trainer, the other day, and you know, he doesn't actually consider himself an influencer, although, I mean, he has 90,000 followers. You know, he's a person of influence, but for him, he's just said, I just need to be real. I do what I do, and if they buy into it, then brilliant. But actually, that's not why I do it. Of course, the numbers help for, you know, some stuff, but it has to be about that. And I think that, you know, I mean, like I say, it's how we work anyway, and it's why we're doing the chats with the people we're chatting with, because it's about like-mindedness. And hopefully through a lot of this, people, as you say, people will have more time to get inside their own heads of understanding what drives them, and finding the right people that connect with their core and their values and their what's Rebecca, we have a job, influence people, one thing, and your job as an influencer different job. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, I guess people that are experts have influence, but
Yeah.
then someone that sets out to specifically be an influencer, I guess it's kind of ironic, I guess, really, because you need to have something, an expertise and a core that has possibility to have impact on someone, to have
Yeah.
influence, you know.
Well, I think that's true because what you mentioned there is people that want to be an influencer. And when I started on social media, there wasn't influencers. I was told
No,
not to do social media because it devalued my potential of being a model if people could reach me on there. So it's funny how things have now changed because that's what I
mad.
care
You
about
don't
then.
get booked as a model unless you've got enough numbers now, do you?
Yeah,
It's crazy.
exactly. But there is something in that because the platform, the more platforms are going out there, this is just an escape for anyone that's being booked as a social media influencer. So if you look at YouTube views, for example, they are valued at much higher than Instagram views because Instagram views degrade in 24 hours. If you get like 1 million people on your Instagram, people don't get endorsements of more than like 5 grand, which obviously is a load of money, but you could get 5 grand on 100,000 on YouTube if you've got a dedicated audience. So
Yeah,
it's almost like 10 times less the value really in terms
yeah.
of what brands are affording to pay people. And then now TikTok's out there, it's 10 times less now. So even TikTok views people get viral videos and they're worth so less in terms of
Then
what brands
Instagram.
consider them. So if you just think about like if brands are not willing to pay people high end campaign fees anymore for these new social media, it's because they understand that they don't have much value. You
Yeah,
can't generate that connection to people. I mean, I think before influencers, there still was people doing it. Like there's a load of people that host QVC that were like experts in skincare but didn't know a damn thing about skincare. They knew about it as a consumer. So there has always been influencers that have got into positions where they've either networked their way there or they got there because
yeah.
so I'm back from my
Crazy.
pause. But there's been loads of people out there that have got into positions where they are influencers, but I think now you have to be creative in what you're doing because there's so many people doing the same thing. So if you wanted to stand out, maybe people should think about not just promoting themselves on social media, but generate. Sorry, I'm pausing all over the show. I'm sorry.
All right, don't worry.
But I think it's good when people are more creative in what they put out there because that is the benefit of all of this stuff. Like, it's not just a camera on your phone. You could keep a diary of things you see and make some sort of new creative outlet. Like, I always use my phone. I snapshot everything I see. So I've got like almost like a mood board everywhere I go. And I do things like that. I don't think about, well, I don't do mainstream social media anymore. I did it back in the day on YouTube till about 2017. But when I do use my phone, I do use social media. I always think about using it as a creative outlet and trying to make something off of social media with this, if that makes sense.
It's using it as a marketing tool, isn't it? I mean, I think so. So there's lots we can talk about. We will talk a bit more. I mean, obviously for you, you're a makeup artist. You have got lots of things in the pipeline, some of which we can talk about. But for
Yes.
you, like I don't know if Rebecca's still there. You're sort of vegan, and the makeup side of things is all vegan. Obviously we connected a bit as well when we used to work. Hi, Carolina. When we were doing the cult candy, because that was a vegan brand. But for you, there's other. I mean, we like I say, we talk about core values, and for you, you're very driven by your core values, and through your makeup, and then through whatever else you do.
Yeah.
So you're vegan. Obviously, we'll wait and we'll talk a little bit more about your new projects in a bit. But you, there's a roundedness to it, should I say?
Yeah.
You know, to what you're doing.
So true.
But I think, you know, again, that adds to the authenticity, and for people like us with the branding and the PR side or whatever, it's the storytelling. That's the kind of, for us, when we do anything, we only engage in any project or collaborate with people when there is so there's a crazy child singing High School Musical really loud. It's, you know, it's the storytelling, and it's how we can help people connect with other people. And I
Mm.
think, you know, I guess at this time, there's a lot of creatives out there and freelancers that are, especially those makeup artists or stylists and photographers that aren't able to be on physical shoots. So they can't do the physical part of their traditional job as they were. There's no teamwork of production happening. And, you know, it's a tricky time. A lot of people have lost a lot of their income and they're trying to adapt to how to live now, but also
Mm.
as people that are on a day-to-day basis inspired and inspire
Mm.
and aspire, that's a big part of how they work. Obviously, you said partly you have this diary. I mean, how, you know, how we all have to adapt and be agile into how we evolve what we do
Mm.
to make it relevant now, but also on a basic level to keep us sane as creatives and keep those juices flowing. But then
Yes.
also how that can be channeled into something that builds either the business you already have or a new thing or evolves what you have. So for you, I mean, how what kind of impact has the isolation had? I mean, with you at work, you know, I guess it's less about being in teams in the same way maybe as a session stylist maybe. Is it? But has it what kind of impact has it had on your working sort of on your work side?
One big impact is I was headhunted just before the lockdown by a Australian brand to come on board for quite a significant amount of money as a product developer. And because of this, they haven't got the resources now to commit to bringing me on board at the moment. So my big contract that I was expecting didn't manifest, which is fine. It's just the way it goes. I've always got things on the go with new offers coming in because I still have my social media, which is an advert driven basis. So I've got things to do on social media. But I knew this years before this lockdown, like that you can't just rely on one thing. If you want to be
Yeah.
creative and you are actually a creative person, you have to constantly be on your feet. So when I stopped doing social media full time, I didn't stop doing social media. I just stopped the business of Joseph Harwood doing makeup. The I developed this is a good example. So on my Instagram, I don't use Instagram so much as the same way I did my old YouTube. I'm going back into it now. I'm adding more tutorials and videos, as you guys can see on my page. But I actually started to learn how to make filters. So the Instagram filters that we can see. And I developed a filter called JH Skin, which is a way that people can find my beauty techniques. Because what I did with the filter is I used a product that I just made for a brand. And I actually represented the makeup in the filter. So I called it Joseph Harwood Skin. That would be a product, but actually it can be used as a filter to make your face look smoother. Now, when I put that filter out there, it's been used over 20 million times and I didn't even
Wow.
promote it. So I've just got my name up there to 20 million faces that you can see in the corner of your story. And that was a way for me to create something when I had time at home doing things. So even though
Yeah.
I couldn't get the makeup contract where I could have done that product, I started to lay the groundwork for something after the lockdown. So that happened by pure chance. I did not know that there was going to be some big old wave of influencers using my filter, but it actually gave people the introduction to. Sorry,
Your
my
brand.
beep is gone.
Is
Yeah,
that
but
right?
it gave the introduction to my further work, and I've also got some more filters coming out, which are going to be JH brows because I have a brow product on its way with another brand, and a contour one. So I'm thinking about things like that. But
Mm.
again, going to a different layer, using social media to kind of implement new work is I think of everything I see on social media as a potential lead. So
Yeah.
when I see people being booked by new, I don't know, whether they've done a speech for Google, whether they've done a campaign for a tanning company, I will print screen that, I'll send it to myself, and I'll build out an archive of potential leads. So I'm always doing this. I do this
You're very,
regardless
very
of the
proactive.
never stop. I never stop. If I'm looking at someone, I'm assessing who they're working with. So there's like X-ray vision going on here for everything, because I
Yeah, yeah.
want people to not just think of me as what I do on social media, but also to be actively a part of different businesses. Like there's a tooth company, they do teeth whitening, and they were working with a lot of influencers, but I actually have been on board doing some more PR stuff for them. There's always things to be found. And I also think like when you are doing something on social media genuinely encourages you to stick to one thing, but to diversify out is so beneficial. So
Yeah.
people were expecting me just to do social media blogs for the rest of my life, I think, which is preposterous. If anyone knows it, I hated filming myself, so it was so ridiculous that people had this like wrong impression of me that I wanted to be on social media or something, because I really didn't want to be on social media when I started. But I wanted to do something that really did represent me on social media, so I built a website called Agitprop. And Agitprop has more than just beauty. I go into beauty in more detail and add videos there so people can still find what they're looking for. But I also have done recipes. So I have 65 vegan recipes. I've got a podcast where I interview some of my icons. And I've also got other things on there like travel reviews. So even if I can't go out there and do people's makeup, I can brand maybe a travel blog. I could give it an LGBT spin because I've connected with them with this new platform. And I built the whole thing myself. Every photo on it is by me. I didn't pay anyone. I've not paid anything to host it, really. It's been 30 quid a month or so. And that's my own creation. So you can always take time where you've got things to breathe and you've got this process where we can't really do what we're expecting, and think, how can I actually make this into a financial situation for me? And often you can cross over skills. There's so many businesses that don't actually know how to use social media, or maybe they've got things that are going on for that, like they've got campaigns that didn't go to plan, but they don't know how to get it out to their followers. So even partnering with brands in that way is really good. So yeah.
I mean, I think I mean, obviously you're the epitome of a portfolio career, but I think, you know, for which I didn't until latterly, well, not really know that that's what I'd had for 25 years of doing so many different things. And I think, you know, like you, everywhere I look, I see opportunities. And I think it's Ryan's saying that he's just had a look at your work and it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
We've got a few new fans today. So, I think
my husband's watching me from France as well.
Hi, husband. So I think, you know, for us, it's the epitome of what we do as Slingshot. But I think also this, you know, I've said it a few times, I get quite excited at these kind of times because it's when all the good shit happens. You know, it's people have to think differently. We generally like think outside the box kind of people, and you know, and loving, like, I love that randomness of being able to connect things that don't feel like, oh, hi Sarah, fabulous new gin brand there, anyone, Tivoli's Gin, an old friend of mine. So that whole idea of bringing things together that shouldn't work but do, and even like we've launched this virtual pub on a Friday night. Again, it started, for me, I love creating parties, and it's kind of come from just bringing people together. But then actually it's like, okay, my brain's already gone to there of where it could be as like a bigger platform of this and that, and drinks brand and and like there's all these different things. But I think it's a change of mindset. I think it's changing your mindset. You know, when we do the branding work, it's not about producing a piece of work, but it's about mindset changing. And this period is just spending the time putting breath around everything and changing your mindset, isn't it? I mean, it's like, see things differently, see, as you say, see opportunities, look at how things can evolve, and also, I guess, analysing your strengths and understanding how they can be translated into other things, isn't it? I mean, it's so true. You know, it's hi Portia, and you know, things can be translated into different things. So it's, if we can understand the core values of who we are and our strengths as humans, then, you know, personally, like I said, I get a bit excited. Anything's possible. You know, people, you know, if people can collaborate and have the right spirit around stuff, and then all pooling strength. I mean, you know, I hope it's kind of it brings people together in a newer, more authentic and special way. You know, it's but it's you know, it's for you, it's great. And we've been chatting about the work that you're doing over the last little while anyway, for other reasons that might get exposed soon. But it's how you can adapt to what you do. Obviously, you know, you great makeup artist, people see the beautiful pictures of you dressed, you know, as a woman, dressed as guy, dressed as whatever. And it's also people looking at it differently and see it as the skills of the makeup, then the beauty and the actual person, and then and it's kind of just seeing things differently as well, isn't it? I mean, do you feel that do you feel that your perception and agility in your own head um, is a combination of how you see things as well as how you process things. I mean, has it always been the case? I mean, obviously you started really
Yes.
young.
Yeah, I think that people think things too much through their head. And I always go,
Yeah,
it's almost like a spiritual thing. It's like when you quiet your head, where do you get led to? What do you create? And when I was a kid, I was naturally ambiguous looking. People couldn't distinguish my gender. People thought I was a little girl for most of my childhood. And I didn't do anything to cause that. It wasn't because I chose to dress differently or I wanted to be different. I was just climbing trees, playing with colours and paints. I didn't do anything to indicate that that was what I wanted to do. I just was myself. Now,
yeah,
it was other people that wanted to define it as male or female. Like, I looked at video game characters and I couldn't distinguish their gender based on what we know as gender. And I thought, oh my God, when I grow up, I'm going to be like a video game character. So it was really like a child's mindset when I did all of the stuff I do now, because I used to sketch out like characters from stories and characters from video games. And I
yeah,
bled all of those kind of ideas from when I was a child into my ideas as an adult when I create my images. But I think it was always kind of like I had to get my foot in the door in some way, and makeup was my foot in the door. It wasn't necessarily things that I was passionate about, because I think, like, for me, I'm an avid historian. I love to research where things come from, and I'm looking at cultures around the world and seeing that there are so many different sort of cultural roles that we do not have in the West. We just don't. It's part of empire building. You divide things into the simplest categories, and that's how you build things. So
yeah,
there were things like, if you look at Papua New Guinea, if you look at Indigenous American people, there's always been this idea of two-spirited, and a lot of people, whether I just interviewed Coco Peru, who's a very famous drag queen, she identified as two-spirited when no one was even talking about it in this kind of modern gender role way. And
yeah,
I think there is this missing element of just human nature, which is this sort of ambiguity in gender. Um, it has got a spiritual link to me, because when I create things, I'm almost like in a meditative state. And when I do makeup, I love doing it, and it feels like I'm meditating when I do it. It's almost like a
yeah,
reset.
yeah,
And if I'm not in the right mood, or if I'm not channeling like a happy environment, I
yeah.
cannot do things at the level I can do. But
No,
I have to be like in that mindset to do things. If I'm in that mindset, I can accomplish any skill set. I don't need to have a team of people lighting me. I don't need a team of people shooting me. I can do every aspect of image creation myself. But if I'm just not in that mindset, I can't.
do
But
you think
when
I
I,
mean, that's definitely kind of traits of a creative, isn't it? I mean, I think it's with you're a writer and you're needing to, you're creating a new book. If you're a, whatever you're, as a creative, it's not something you can just switch on if you've not got, as you say, it's the combination of the right head, mind space, the right energy, the right whatever, it's very difficult to get into mode and switch that on like a button, isn't it? I mean, it's something that that's why it's a different kind of vocation in a way, isn't it? Than I mean, I don't know. Having said that, I think as humans we have to be in the right mood to do anything, don't we? I mean, it's kind of,
yeah.
I mean, even my 9-year-old, she's now got her own little Instagram account that I run for her. Not legally, but she does art, and it's kind of, and actually we did a little video with her for Ricky Lee's got the Handwrite Collective Art group, and I was just asking her as like a little, well, she's nearly 10, but 9-year-old, what is it that you like about art? And she's like, oh, I can shut out the outside world and I can just feel calm and I can just, whatever. And actually being able to identify that so young, that actually this action had an impact on how she felt, I thought was quite mature of it. But it's that whole idea, whatever it is that you find calming, as a creative in general, but I mean as humans, it's it's not only has an impact on your physical and mental health, it also then it has an impact on how productive you can be
So
of
much
what you
so.
can create.
That's so true. It's everything. It's cooking. It's when you are cooking things and you're stressed out about cooking, people go totally awry. It
Yeah.
always is like, and when you're relaxing, you're chilled, and you're making things, it always comes out more delicious. It just is this magical way the world works, in my opinion. But I do think it's like a spiritual thing. I think that there's energy that no, it's, I think that going more into that, when I look at makeup, because people know me as beauty and makeup, I think there's only so much you can do with paints and powders. I think it goes into a next level of this. And I think when I did my biochemistry masters and I learned how to make cosmetics from a chemist point of view, you lose the ability to love product because you see the ingredients. And the ingredients quite often are the same in a £100 skincare as they are in a £10 skincare or £4 skincare, whatever. And I think for me, I had to find a way of kind of saying, okay, so we've now accepted that the legal term of cosmetics, it cannot physically change your skin. If it did, it would be a pharmaceutical and it'd be prescribed by a doctor. So how do we change our skin? How do we improve our skin? How do we make ourselves feel more beautiful? And that came to food. So I was always into vegan organic skincare because I knew the skin was like a sponge. People, my friends used to think I was a crazy hippie. Look at us now, we're all talking about it. But
Yeah.
it's what, not just what you put on your body, it's what you put in your body. And that was what led me to go into the vegan food, because I have always been vegan. It just, I couldn't eat meat as a baby. I could pick up, and when I was asked to eat meat from my family, I could pick up the fear of the animal. I know it sounds really out there and weird. I would become fearful, and I could, it was almost like being an empath. And I couldn't eat it, and I've been unable to eat meat my entire life because of that reason. And when I wanted to do my website, literally my partner was saying to me, "You're cooking these like elaborate meals for yourself that no one can make vegan. Why don't you put it into a website?" So I started to actually document the process of making these vegan alternatives, and I put it on my website. So it really happened organically, pun intended. But it's all things like that. I never go through things and I think, oh, that's the outcome I want to do. I always kind of like, it's like drips of things, and what the final thing's going to be, I'm not quite sure. But it came from that place. And I think that when we think about meat, and I think now loads of people are often being resourceful with their money, a lot of this stuff is expensive, and people are realizing that the expense of these animal products are unnecessary. You can make so much stuff from what we normally throw away, whether it be like chickpeas, like when you wash the chickpeas, you throw away all the liquid, but actually you can use that instead of eggs. It's a really good egg replacer. Or you can do things like use banana skins as a bacon alternative if you deep fry them and you put them in like some spices and things. So there are things that we can think, but it's not just like, oh, health and veganism and save for animals. I don't even like animals. It's not even like I did it because I love animals.
Well,
I know
I've
they're
been vegetarian since I was 10, and actually, yeah, I always slightly joke about it. That originally, for a very short period of time, it was a little bit animal rights. I was still CND, and at the time, I mean, I'm a lot older than you, and at the time, it was there was nothing vegetarian. And I remember my mum saying, "Great, you can go vegetarian, but you've got to make your own food." So at the age of 12, I
yes.
went to work in a like crank style veggie cafe to learn to cook, and ended up teaching my mum, who actually ended up becoming a really good vegetarian cook. But it's at the time, for a bit, it was all animal rights, but now, I mean, I've never liked it. I don't. Of course, I like animals, but I just don't like. I can't do meat. I mean, I'm not vegan now. I'm vegetarian. I have been vegan in different phases, but I think it's yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot that's going to come out of this time, and I think, you know, the creativity on all levels, isn't it? Resourcefulness and creativity, whether it's how you know, how we cook, how we even do our makeup, how we connect, how we, you know, share experiences together, how we, I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, people keep saying about this big reset button that we've been given, and, you know, yes, there's a reason. You know, I strongly believe everything happens for a reason, and good shit comes out of every bad situation. You just, you know, people don't always know what it is yet. And I think that it's, you know, if I think if people can only take one thing from this today, it's kind of that it's trying to shift mindset. And I think, you know, it's a really hard time for a lot of people that are going through struggling with the mental side of and financial side of a lot of this. And it's kind of, it's some of that, as you say, thinking outside the box that's necessary because of finances, or because of solitary, you know, situation of just only having certain resources for inspiration. But out of that, you know, some good stuff will come, whether it's you say, whether it's the health side, the food side, the you know, whatever, the connection side. And I mean, because, you know, ironically, I'm now having chats with people that I've known, like old friends, that there was no reason we couldn't have had these kind of chats beforehand
Yeah.
digitally, but we haven't. And now I'm
Yes.
having drinks and chats with people, like we did the pub night on Friday, like an old friend I've known since I was 5. We could have been doing this every week. You know, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous, but it's kind of forcing, not forcing, it's encouraging connections in ways that it's just opening our minds to a lot of new ways to connect as well. And I think, so for you, we as a makeup artist head,
Mm.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure you're observing a little bit of what's going on within makeup artists and brands and how they are having to adapt and use their own resources to use this time. Virtual pub night. So a few attendees from the pub night on actually vegan cocktails we've now got a vegan mixologist, cocktail mixologist. You have to come, yeah, and he's
Oh, have
vegan.
you? I'm not drinking at the moment, so I can't do the temptations.
uh, he actually, do you know what, he actually did it non-alcoholic, and I was like, what's going on? And then we add
Oh,
it on
I
afterwards. It's
have.
actually great smoothie drink, but then you add it in. But
Well, let me tell you about my disaster quickly the other day. On my, because as you said, this is kind of like a ritual breaking time period where people are
yeah.
resetting. I thought it was a really genius idea for me to do a liver cleanse and be really sober and healthy, because I can be a party beast, because I'm 6'3". I can take a lot of alcohol, and I forget that sometimes it's not the healthiest decision to make. So I thought, okay, during this time I'm going to get all this health cleanse stuff. So
Yeah.
I got this thyroid stuff. Now, stupid me, I just think, oh, it's all going to be fine. It says it's holistic. It's got a picture of a daisy on the box. It's going to be absolutely fine. I was
Well,
taking
great
this
branding.
thyroid. Oh my God. I went into like a temperature of 40 degrees. I was basically
What was
comatose.
it?
My family thought I had corona and that I was going to die because it's bloody medicine. And so please be careful. I would caution, stick to the milk thistle. Don't do the crazy thyroid thing like me, and just be healthy for everyone out there.
But I think that people are going to be looking at all sorts of ways to. I mean, I think it's going to go either way. Certainly, I'm a parent, and I think that I did a sort of joke in a post today about wine, and is it too early morning, expecting social services to turn up at my door. But I think that it's kind of almost either way, isn't it? Some people are taking the opportunity to kind of have a full cleanse and use the opportunity that they're not tempted to, you know, and I have to go out. But then others are kind of bloody. As a parent, I'm like, oh, what time of children like needing all the homeschooling parents are kind of like, oh. There's going to be a
Yes.
lot of Alcoholics Anonymous for parents, I think, afterwards, sending us in different ways. So, Joseph, would
Yes.
you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm. I don't know how to answer that, because I think I'm very confident I can speak to anyone. I
Yeah,
don't have any kind of like holds. I'm nervous if I had to get on stage in front of thousands of people, and when I do have to do things like that, I get a bit
yeah,
nervy. But I'm not. I'm comfortable in my own company. I'm not, I
yeah,
don't feel like I'm. If I had to read books for like 10 years, I wouldn't feel like I was missing out on the world. I'm like that. I can get
yeah,
into my own head and come up with new things. I'm not someone that's like a. I don't know. It's weird because like I love all my friends. I love my acquaintances. And I love seeing them. But I'm confident in my friendships with them that if we didn't speak for 6 months and then we went back, we would be back where we were before. Like one of my best friends is in Australia, and we catch up whenever we got the chance to. But I'm not someone that thinks, oh, I have to see that person every day.
mm,
And so I guess like I'm kind of an introvert, but I'm not to the point where I don't love people. I love hanging out with people. I love seeing people, and it's so
yeah,
important for me to see people. But I'm quite comfortable. I'm not like this
yeah.
doesn't feel very. The only thing that's different about this is I'm with my family at the moment, so that's the which isn't very introverted, because they're all mad and there's loads of people here. So,
Every time you
yeah,
see, you're like, oh my god! And I'm the same
yeah.
at this end. The madness of. And what for you? What do you miss? Oh, I'm just going to check on the time. You know, it's like Instagram kick you off. I've got 10 minutes.
All right.
What do you miss the most from being isolated, and what are you going to look forward to the most afterwards?
I really like just going off. I live near the South Down, so I'm doing this sort of diary because when I was younger, my grandma used to take me and my sister out all around the area here. And just before lockdown, they started to build over the fields that are just outside the South Downs where I live. So I know that there are things that I wanted to get onto my camera and onto my hard drive so I could show my niece and say, like, when me and mummy were younger, we used to go with Great Nana Barrel and we used to look at all these wild strawberries that we know where are, but they wouldn't know. And I wanted to get, it was kind of like a family project that I wanted to put together, like almost like a reference point to say this is where we came from, because my granddad actually built this home that I'm in right now, and when he passed away, we kind of all collectively got the home back and renovated it. So it was like
Yeah.
a family home where we, and my mum grew up here before we went to school over the road. So it's this big family home, and it's our anchor of our family. So I wanted to get out and like explore these like haunts that I used to go to as a kid and finish that project for my niece. But it's been a bit restrictive, obviously, because you can't just go off to the South Downs. People are just misbehaving too much in the area at the moment. So there's loads of stuff going on. But I just want to go out and do whatever I want to. I hate not being able to do. I go to weird places all the time to take pictures, so I often explore like abandoned buildings, and I love
Yeah.
doing things like that I can't do. So I'm excited to get back to things like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the free spiritedness, isn't it? I mean, I'm utterly a free spirit, which is ironic, being tied to two children and a family home. But I am, and that, yeah, for me, I think that, yeah, as you say, like missing that free spiritedness of being able to just do a little bit what you want to do. It does not necessarily crazy stuff, but has anyone got any questions before I kind of ask the last couple and we round up? Has anyone got anything they wanted to ask Joseph on any of the stuff? I mean, it's been great. We've covered a lot of grounds, and not just from the makeup perspective, as a, I guess, perceived makeup artist. And I think,
Yeah,
for you, Joseph, obviously you've got a lot going on, a lot coming up.
yeah,
You're a very collaborative spirit as well. You've done lots before, and I'm sure there's lots that will come moving
yes,
forward. You're focusing quite a bit on the Agit Pop, your platform.
yeah.
Or on the makeup front, is there anything? Oh, what's your favourite video editing software? Said Kate's asking.
So I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and the reason why I use it is because you can manipulate the colors. So I often film in daylight, which is unpredictable. So I can color correct easily, and I can go through things and make it all look pretty. It's a bit of a problem when you export because it takes forever to export videos if they're in good quality, but that's what I do. But I kind of want to. I need to have a creative. I can't just put it through iMovie or anything like that because you can't create with it. But talking about like makeup quickly before we wrap up, like there are so many things that I wanted to do that I think this year relates to clean beauty. So
Yeah.
following on from the healthy things we've spoken about, there are events coming up towards the end of the year. Hopefully they'll still be on. But I have actually been working with a number of brands just consulting on how to make products more clean. So things that wash away into the sea that actually get into microorganisms. Some sort of silicones actually are really bad for microorganisms. And originally, I was meant to be going to the Faroe Islands in the summer. The Faroe Islands is where they actually cull the dolphins, and it's a tradition within their community and culture. It's headed by a particular individual that profits off the joy of killing things. So I was actually going to be going to document this, and Stacey Julie just did a documentary with the Sea Shepherds, who I work with. So my whole passion with this is to bring attention to how we can link all this stuff together as we're linking with each other. So I can make amazing products, and we've got some new formulas on the way for skin and for people of color, which is so underrepresented in the high-end market. And also to combine them with sources that I can say are sustainable, that I can say are safe to go back into things. So clean beauty is really my focus at the moment, and I'm fortunate enough that I get to consult with a lot of brands still. So I did last year, I did a lot of brand work with LGBT inclusion in campaigns, and I launched a brand on L'Oreal Innovations with Jessica Blackler called Jessica Black, and that was #1 in the LUK. It was amazing. So I've done a lot of work to be inclusive, and this year my work is to bring attention to how we can stop the marine damage we're doing, and also to think of sustainable ways to make plastics in cosmetics, and also the actual formula of cosmetics, make them work and also be great. So that's my next project.
And also, so Ricky Lee's asking, what's the toughest product you've made vegan? We've only got a couple of minutes here actually, but
I
yeah, go through.
There are still things that I'm working on at the moment that I find really difficult, and it's because silicones have become a staple, and some silicones just aren't great. They go back into the ocean, you can't even distinguish them, but they're doing invisible damage. So I think at the moment, for me, my goal is to make things that are just simplified to the point where they just work. Like, so much of this is just brand hype and marketing, and when you look at ingredients, they're not even like they put aloe vera on it, and it's like 0.0% aloe vera in the formula.
But it's like you saying about the product that had a daisy on it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
this is the thing. If people put products out there, and I'm going to be quick because we're going to, so I can
All right.
wrap up in a second. But this is the whole false marketing and the whole branding, then PR side of things. It's if people stick a daisy on it or make it green or put a flower on it. Is that right? But do you know what? It's customer perception. It's like if you turn something green and make it in natural cardboard or paper, then it
Yeah.
must be. And I guess it's where a lot of the takeaway, the fast food outlets, they make everything in natural wood, or the press, or even the McDonald's make it look like it's natural wood, and suddenly people have that perception that it's more natural as a brand. Thank you so much, Joseph. So much insight. It's great for everyone. Hopefully, interesting to sort of hear a bit more about your story and journey. And I think that for all of us. We've got another live tomorrow with Diana Gomez, photographer, who's great. So join us at 4:00 if you're around. But stronger together, stay inspired, and breathe into your creativity and not force it. And I think if we can all sort of stay authentic and honest and collaborate, support each other as a creative industry, then there's going to be some really good shit that's going to come out of it all. So I think there's going to be a lot of if we think like things like Uber, all these brands came out of the last recession, and so it's exciting to see what stuff's going to come out of this time. So it's and we look forward to seeing all of your new projects. And everyone check out Agit Pop, which is under Joseph Harwood's is it .com? Yeah, so check it out. Stay tuned. Up. There's going to be some more things going on here. So thanks so much, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Zoe. Take care.
Bye. See you later.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into my video with Slingshot. That was a fun interview to do. Hopefully it was fun for you guys. Hopefully you're all fine and you're enjoying all of these fun DIY kind of like verticals, because I'm enjoying filming them. So sending my love and take care. Don't forget to check out Agitprop, which is www.josephharwood.com for issue 4. And I'll see you all soon.